As an introduction, human development is a process of enlarging people's choice, and the most critical aspects of it include healthy life, access to resources, ability to get education, and in general to enhance one's standard of living. This report critically analyzes the economic growth and human development in South Asia in the last 3 decades. And it provides an overall profile for South Asia region, as well as detailed analysis for 5 South Asian countries, which are Bangladesh, India, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. In addition, the 2015 report, as the title indicates, The Economy and the People, it aims to evaluate the extent to which people have been incorporated in the development processes and policies in South Asia. The report concludes that to sustain growth and okay. Is this better? Yeah? Okay. In addition, the report concludes that to sustain growth and to advance human development further in the region, high level of political commitment is necessary so that the economic and social goals of the future are met. So I'm going to move on to the main findings, starting with the economic growth that the region has experienced in the last 3 decades. So on average, GDP in the South Asia region has grown at an annual rate of 6%, which is quite commendable and making it one of the fastest growing economic regions in the world, second to only East Asia and the Pacific. Most of the growth in the region has been driven by India, which is the largest economy in the region. It is followed by the growth performance of Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. All the economies in South Asia during the last 3 decades have underwent structural transformation. The share of agriculture in the economy has steadily declined, and we see a rise in the service sector, and it emerges as the dominant sector in all the economies. So given this commendable success, there is still much more to do. South Asia still needs to integrate economically by promoting deeper trade and transit arrangements and developing common trade infrastructure. In addition, all the countries in the South Asia region enjoy a very high demographic dividend. So there is a need to exploit this further to enhance growth. In addition, if we compare South Asia's performance with East Asian economies, what we see is that rates of savings and investment is still not at the level that the East Asian economies had. So the report comments that monetary policy has a role to play in order to encourage savings and to increase investment. So moving on to employment trends. So in South Asia, despite very robust economic growth, there continues to be high prevalence of employment in the informal sector. There continues to be a lot of low quality or low productive, low value addition jobs, and there continues to be underemployment. So what has the region on the whole done to address the employment issues that it collectively faces? So it can be, the report suggests that it can be grouped into 4 broad categories. One is training. For example, the Jan Shikshan Shamsthan program in India, it's quite renowned for the training it gives to the labor force. Secondly, microfinance and self-employment. We can draw on the experience of Bangladesh, like BRAC, ASHA. Thirdly, public works program. One example could be the MGNREGA, this is the Employment Generation Program in India, and similarly we have something in Bangladesh called EGPP, Employment Generation for the Poorest. And lastly, social insurance for workers, so pension schemes that almost all the 5 countries seems to have in place. Despite these interventions or programs, the growth process still seems to have bypassed many, and particularly those who have a lower level of skills, like the youth and the women folk. So, women in South Asia comprises of almost half of the population, and South Asian women continues to have the lowest labor force participation in the world, despite the efforts made. But there are some success stories. For example, the IT BPO sector in India, where we see women's employment to a significant extent, as well as the RNG sector in Bangladesh, where we have seen a transition in the type of work that women do from the agricultural sector to the formal economy. So moving on, what can we do more? The report suggests that there is a need for strong political commitment in order to create employment and make it the main objective of the growth strategy. In addition, there is a need to invest in the workforce in terms of skills. The presence of highly educated labor force in India has helped the country to become the largest destination of outsourcing services in the world, and that should be a source of inspiration for other countries, something that we can follow. Lastly, just to touch upon the labor laws and how the countries do in terms of the legal and the legal framework. South Asian countries have ratified most of the ILO conventions related to labor rights. However, a mere ratification does not ensure protection of workers' rights or improving their working condition. So more needs to be done. I'll move on to the next issue that the report focuses on, which is food security. So, innovations in agriculture science has enabled South Asia to overcome the problem of food availability to a large extent. All countries now grow enough food to meet the minimum energy requirements of their citizens. However, this high economic growth, the ample food production, the reduction in food insecurity, still could not address the problems related to hunger fully. South Asia underperforms on child nutrition and indicators compared to other regions of the world. The trend in nutritional attainment of children in the 5 South Asian economies is also quite mixed. However, Bangladesh's performance in this regard is commendable. Malnutrition, poverty, hunger have decreased significantly in the last 3 decades, and the report attributes this success to pro-poor growth policies coupled with specific educational and nutritional interventions and the expansion of very targeted social safety net programs. I have a table here which shows the nutritional status, nutritional attainments and statuses by different regions in the world. The nutritional attainments like stunting, wasting, underweight, low birth weight, and under 5 mortality. If the numbers are visible to you, you might notice that South Asia still has very high levels of stunting as well as under 5 mortality compared to other regions. Moving on. Uh, I move on to the next topic, which is education and health. I'm presenting it together, so I'll start with education first. So South Asia's performance with regards to providing education for all also has been mixed, both with respect to the progress between different countries, as well as within different parts of the same country. For example, Sri Lanka and Kerala in India have been outliers in an otherwise educationally backward South Asian region. Bangladesh, despite having a lower per capita income as compared to India and Pakistan, has caught up nevertheless, especially in the education of girls. So what explains Bangladesh's improvement in gender parity in education? So the study mentions that number of incentive schemes at both primary and secondary level, with a particular emphasis on enrollment and retention of girls in the secondary education level helped. Two programs in this regard were the Food for Education program, which was discontinued after a while, and the Female Stipend program were both thought to be very successful. Here's a chart where you can see the gender disaggregated enrollment rates in the primary and secondary level. I mean, it also shows for Afghanistan in the first slide, in the first chart, and for the 5 South Asian countries in the chart below. So what I just said before kind of is summarized in this graph. So economic growth in South Asia has led to advancement in health indicators across the region as well. Over the past 3 decades, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Sri Lanka have all made progress in major health-related indicators. For example, life expectancy has increased, maternal and child mortality rates have declined, people have been able to enjoy better standard of life as a result. Bangladesh and Nepal stand out. In particular, we have made great strides since 1980. And certain states in India, like Kerala and Tamil Nadu, have also performed very well. On a similar note, Sri Lanka has been able to sustain its lead in the regional health indicators, despite the decades of civil war that it has experienced, and that is quite noteworthy as well. So what explains this achievement that we have? The report notes that political prioritization has helped, especially in the social sectors of in most of the countries. In Bangladesh, the active civil society and efficient NGOs in particular exemplifies the importance of political support for improving health outcomes. I have a chart and a table here. I don't know how visible they are, but the first table is trying to show how life expectancy has changed from 1980 to 2012. It's at the regional level. So if you look at the top line, life expectancy for South Asia region has gone up from 55 to 66. The chart below shows the gender disaggregated life expectancy at birth, also from 1980 to 2012. So the arrows show how it has gone up over the years. So in education and health, the report kind of concludes that allocation of more funds might be a necessary condition for improving access, learning, and health outcomes further, but it might not be a sufficient one. And it says that in the next 30 years, we should focus more on scaling up the interventions which were successful through political ownership and community-driven initiatives. So probably the region has enough interventions going on, and just picking out the right ones would be a good thing to do at this point. So the last topic is the report focuses on women folk in South Asia, and it says that South Asia has achieved remarkable success in improving women advancement, increased access to education, health, and economic activities. However, social and cultural factors constrain the ability of women to be a part of the development process, and to be part of the development process, more importantly, on an equal footing to men. So, positive development on the legal front have taken place as a result of civil society interventions that has forced governments to take affirmative action, and amending and introducing laws to enhance gender equity as well as empowering the marginalized. The key is to raise a collective consciousness in the region and to find the will to take an initiative. At the same time, each South Asian country is unique in terms of the resources it has, the social and cultural norms that it values, the legal structure, and it needs to develop specific policies to address the challenges that it faces. The right kind of policies, institution, and above all, attitude is necessary to make the change happen. Okay. So the report touches on touches on Bangladesh as a success story as far as women empowerment is concerned, and it mentions how microfinance has given a new identity to the women in Bangladesh to be entrepreneurs, as well as how it has helped them to contribute towards overall poverty reduction over the last 3 decades. In addition, we have to mention the role the RNG sector has played in Bangladesh. It employs about 4 million workers currently, and it provides gainful employment as well as an easy way to switch away from low-paid farm activities. I'm not going to go on. So I'm going to go to the conclusion that the report has made. So it says that compared to 1980, today's South Asia region is performing better economically, socially, and politically. And this engenders a lot of optimism for a more promising future. Over the last 30 years, South Asia sustained high economic growth, and it has been complemented by progress in health, education, nutrition, and in nutrition sectors. So the sustained broad-based economic growth, rapid pace of technological advancement, increased female empowerment, strengthening of institutions, of governance, increasing activism of civil society organizations are some of the benchmarks suggesting the region's progress towards a much more fair and just society. The region has adequate knowledge, ability, resources, technology, and political strength, and the institutional capacity to make it possible to create a even more fairer society. A successful transition of government and high voter turnaround in all the countries indicates that people's participation in the decision-making process have also improved. Thank you.